Hey everybody, it's Mike from Stonewall Woodcraft. And if you came here just to see the finished product of this English walnut coffee table, well, here it is. You don't even need to fast forward to the end of the video. But if you came here to see how I made it, check this out.
I've had this 1-inch air-dried English walnut in the shop for a few years now, and I thought this table would be a great way to make use of some of it. So I milled it down to the thickest usable material I could get, then I decided on a layout that would work best for this tabletop. Next, I laminated the boards together to get closer to my desired thickness, using as much Type-On 2 as I could get in there. Then I locked them into some parallel clamps and left them to cure overnight. The next morning, I discovered some of the glue found its way through a knot in the wood, and it was really on there. So I had to tap these two apart with a mallet and a couple chisels. Now I had to deal with one of those knots and dig out all of that soft, punky wood to keep it from causing problems later. Oddly satisfying. With the boards all glued up, I moved over to the jointer to start the milling process. I flattened one face and one edge on each piece, then ran them through the planer to get a flat, consistent thickness. And lastly, each piece was squared up on the table saw to give me that final clean edge. It's important to remember, if you plan to cut a circle out of your panel, take your domino positioning into careful consideration. More on that later. I decided to use 10mm dominoes to join the panel because they made for a flat and easy glue up, but the additional strength probably wasn't necessary. noticed there are still some voids in the wood from the larger knots. I'm going to attempt to fill these with epoxy and hope the lamination is solid enough to prevent any further leaks. Fingers crossed. To make this heavy glue up a bit easier on myself, I decided to make 2 smaller panels, then join them together before spending another night in the clamps. With the panel complete, it was time to get this beast out of the clamps and onto the workbench to cut out the circle. Now you could probably just make your own circle cutting jig, but I used the Circle Guide Kit from Miles Craft. It made the process extremely simple and was very affordable. Plus I like the sound it makes when it snaps into place. I decided to go with a 37-inch radius to make sure it was a similar size to the table it would be replacing in the client's home. Well, my home. I'm the client. I made a couple of passes with the circle jig, then removed some of the bulk with a jigsaw before continuing with the router. I know many people will change bits and finish the cut with a flush trim bit, but I already had the jig set up and it provided the same results. Next, it was time to mix the epoxy, a product I seem to rarely use in my builds. When it comes to epoxy, I'm part of team less is more, and I like to keep it subtle when I use it. I look forward to someone changing my mind in the comments section. Now it's time for everyone's favorite part of the build, sanding. And sanding. And sanding some more. So, remember when I told you to carefully consider your domino placement? This is why. After turning off the camera and having a moment of panic that I just ruined the entire piece, I decided the best way to rectify this mistake would be to mortise out the 4 exposed dominoes with a chisel and inlay something cool. I went with some nice, rusty Paduke. Of course, I didn't film any of this process because I was more worried about fixing the problem than getting the shot. After sanding the entire surface up from 80 to 180 grit, I applied 4 very thin coats of Osmopolix Oil Clear Satin. I used a Scotch-Brite pad to work it into the wood, which always gives me great results.
Well, that tabletop took a little bit longer than expected, so I made a second video to show how I made the base and attached the two pieces together. And you can find that here or wherever YouTube put it on your device. So just click or tap on that and we'll see you over there. Thanks, guys.